Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Matt. I am your host for this episode of Quick Draw, and with me, joining me today in this podcast are my two other lovely co-hosts. I got this beautiful lad to my left here,
Hey, Torre.
and to his right,
El Toro.
that's speaking to you live, loud and clear, is Mikey D. And on this episode of Quick Draw, like always, we play a single game of Cards Against Humanity, and whatever cards we get, or whatever cards win the round, we make a story out of. So for those of you that don't know about Cards Against Humanity is wait, sorry. For those of you that don't know how to play Cards Against Humanity, it's pretty simple. You have one person is the quote unquote card czar, and that is the person that has a card that has a fill in the blank statement with it, and then the other players have 7 cards, and they choose from like random like inserts, and you sort of just like try to figure out whichever would make the thing the funniest. So, all right, Mike. So who won last game? Do you remember?
I thought you were keeping track of that.
It was me. I won last game. So, I am the card czar. Michael, do you have the card shuffle?
No.
All right, let's pass them out.
Sally, how far do I have to be? Because I keep catching you on my mic.
It's all good. It all like syncs up, so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, Michael has dealt me he has dealt me the card. I'm sorry about this, folks. I just moved my mic so it's in a more natural spot. Ooh, okay. So as he's dealing out the cards, our card that are pretty much our prompt is I drink to forget blank. What do I drink to forget? Karen and the kids, my ex-wife, my lack of funds, my college classes.
Whole hand works.
My hand doesn't.
Like your whole, if your whole hand doesn't work, you can call a mulligan.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to see which ones work best. Yeah, I'm gonna mulligan my hand.
Go for it, bud. And for you folks that don't know what a mulligan in a card game is pretty much when you retire your whole hand or put it in any sort of a discard pile, and you redraw the number of cards you have in your hand. In some games you draw one less card, but in Cards Against Humanity, at least the way we're playing it, you just draw your whole hand again. So
This is the only one
you
that
now
works.
get, instead of 7 tries to get a good card, you get 14 tries. So both players have picked out their cards, and Mikey D is now shuffling the cards. So I don't know which ones, or who turned in which card. So I don't pick any favorites. All right, so he has now finished shuffling cards, and our prompt is I drink to forget blank. First card is I drink to forget slaughtering innocent civilians. Okay. I drink to forget taking a shitty story that goes nowhere, or telling a shitty story that goes nowhere. Ooh, okay. Ooh, I am torn. One's gonna make a really good like. Okay, I'm not torn. I'm telling. All right, don't tell me who won. Okay, I made that mistake last podcast, but I'm gonna pick telling a shitty story that goes nowhere. I feel like that's gonna be a really good story.
Probably what's gonna happen right now, but let's go for
Yeah.
it.
I mean,
Are we just gonna make a story about ourselves?
This is foretelling.
Yeah.
Is this
Hey,
foretelling someone? What is
one
this?
day-
Foreshadowing?
One day in 2019, 3 homies got together and decided to make really shitty stories. The end.
Yeah. Decided to make a really shitty podcast, and here we are.
Alright, guys. So, how this section of the podcast works is we take 30 minutes, we try and flesh out a well rounded story, and at the end, we tell a brief synopsis, and then we describe who picked the winning card. Alright, so let's start this timer going, and let's go.
All right. I drink to forget.
Telling a shitty story that goes nowhere.
I'd say.
A lot of ums and ahs. A lot of like adjectives.
Well, to me, this sounds like a story of someone who. Let's just say this is a guy who like a stand-up kind of guy. You know what I mean?
Stand-up.
Like, let's say,
Like stand-up comedy.
yeah. Like for some reason, I just like, like
Pause. This suspenseful pause.
this is probably like, let's say, an embarrassing situation that just someone just happened to be on. You know what I mean? And now it like fucked them up.
Either that or he's like a compulsive liar. He's a comic that doesn't write his own stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and or either that or he's like a super forgetful comic, and he's just trying. Oh,
Or
okay.
or he was probably Never mind. I was gonna say he was an author who wrote like a bunch of stories, but or like a bunch of like, let's say, stories from experience or something, and then he just wrote this latest story and it was shitty.
Telling a true story that goes
But I
nowhere.
realized that like authors don't really say their stories; they write them.
Oh yeah, I get the tell. Okay, all right. Cash is right. So this is just off the dome, top of my noggin, right? I'm gonna try and just make a full fleshed out story in this one take. All right. So this father, right? He's a single dad. You know, it's 2019. We can have single dads now. Um, he's at school, or sorry, he's at his son's school, right? And the dads are pretty much having a pissing contest. You know, they're like, oh, my son does this, my son does that, right? And you know, every story gets crazier, crazier, and crazier, and it becomes this guy's turn, right? Let's just say his name is Matt, okay? Matt is trying to tell a story, right? And he starts talking, and and then people realize he's just talking just to talk, but then he realizes if he stops talking, then he understands that he's full of garbage, and then everyone else is gonna know that there was no point of him even speaking in the first place. So he's saying stuff like, oh, you know, my kid can like read and write and do all this stuff better than your kid, blah 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 blah. But like he also like you know, just a bunch of like random stuff. Like he's not saying anything coherent. There's no flex in his statement, and so he's talking, and it's him just buying time, and pretty much the whole thing is him having an internal breakdown in his brain, trying to figure out what his son is good at, and then him realizing that he's just a terrible father, and you know like he's like as he's speaking or as he's spewing this verbiage, he is just in turn like in his brain like searching for good like moments where his son is like exceptional, and then he kind of realizes his own faults in a dad or as a father, you know, and as a story, you know, like him participating in the pissing contest is like, hey, my son's not the greatest, but it's because I'm a shitty father. I could do better, and that's like the turning point. That's like the climax of the story. And he's like, you know, my kid's okay. Like, I feed him, clothe him. He's like doing fine, but I'm not the best dad, and I could do better. And it just like kind of like ruins the mood. You know, kind of just like kills the vibe of like the whole like camp or whatever.
Or like one of his stories would be like, my son won the baseball championship without any of my own help.
Yeah. Or yeah, no, yeah. It's stuff that their kids have done without their father's help.
Okay.
And his son pretty much needs him for everything. Either that or like his son doesn't do anything or ask him for any help or whatever. And yeah, it just pretty much just goes to where he just like kind of realizes he's a terrible dad and could do better, which all parents should strive for regardless of just being better in general. But he goes and it ends and he goes and spends time with his kid and inspires other dads to do so as well.
But where's the part where he tries to drink to forget about it?
Yeah.
Oh shoot! I just completely, and so instead of oh shit.
Let's say
oh my god! I just told the whole story without have the prompt.
Yeah. I was gonna say let's roll with your story, but like, let's say, like, let's say he's a very like prideful dad, and then like the moment when it comes for him to actually like talk good about what he did with the child and stuff, he realizes that like all the stuff that he didn't really do with his child and stuff, and he just stays there quiet in front of the class for like a good like, you know, like a minute, and that was so embarrassing towards him and his child, and then like the night, and then that same night he just goes and drinks.
That could work. I was also thinking, so to to make my giant spiel a little bit more coherent, I'd say. So he's thinking about all these things, and instead of speaking up and say, "Hey, he's this terrible father," he just like stops talking, and then the rest of the dads are like, "What the hell is this guy talking about? Like he's such a weirdo." Instead of him going, admitting his faults and overcoming his mistakes, instead of hanging out his own, he just goes home and gets blacked out drunk, and then it just cycles again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's how I would conclude my story. But I'm not saying that's how we have to make the story.
No, I mean that's pretty much what I had in mind too. I mean, that's a very short story.
Yeah, it's pretty short. This could be a short podcast today, boys.
Well, we can make it into 2 parts, where as he's telling all the other dads about how great his son is, like that makes him want to like go and see his son again because his son like moved out like college now. So he goes over to see his son. Second part, and when he gets there, he realizes just how bad of a dad he is. So instead of going, and actually like seeing his son, he just goes back home.
Ooh, I like that. I like that two-parter.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Okay, so what's the total story there that we have right now?
Main character.
I'd say let's go with his story because it makes more sense.
Okay.
Main character is the dad. He's with a bunch of other dads telling stories about their sons. He wants to see his son after remembering all of these great stories about him. He goes over to see his son, but before he gets to say hi, he sees his son from a distance and realizes how amazing he is and how little input that he has put into his son's life.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets depressed about it because he realizes he could have done so much better when his son was young. So he just goes home to drink and forget.
I mean, yeah, I like that. But where was the telling a shitty story that goes nowhere?
His life is going nowhere.
Shit, that's the story.
He's going nowhere.
That's the story. Oh shoot, he sent me the photo by the way. Anyways, so all right, so it has to be during the pissing contest. Or just the pissing contest. Whenever the dads are like saying, "Oh, my son does this," or "Hey, my kid, is great at this," and then he Do we want to do it where his dad is like doing that, or like
we can make it, or we can change it to where his dad during the contest says like a story that's about to happen, like he says like I'm about to do this with my son, but then he realizes that he's a shitty dad, and then just goes home to drink instead of actually doing the story.
Ooh. I got this. All right, so it's like show and tell day at school, except it's like it's not during classes. It's in like a break period or whatever, and all the dads are with their kids or whatever, and all the dads are like telling stories of their son. So it's pretty much the same concept, except his son is like right there with him. And like as the dads are speaking, they're all being like super affectionate with their son, hug them and stuff. Kind of like showing off their prize, like their prize kids are like, hey son, go out there, do a little spin. Look at that, look at that anatomy. Look at those biceps, dude. My kid's gonna be a freaking football star, like just doing stuff like that, just like bragging, like, oh, look at my genetic makeup. I got some good genes, and this guy comes up, Matt. It comes to be like his turn, and he doesn't know how to show off his kid, and he doesn't know how to like be with that crowd. So he tries to imitate him, and he tries to tell like a story because I guess all the dads are like sporty guys. He's like, yeah, I went to go like throw the football with like my son, and like his mitt was like super messed up, and he makes up a really bad like father-son bonding moment through like sports and stuff. Yeah, and it's just like super bad.
Yeah, and let's say that the fathers can see through his BS.
Oh yeah, for sure, because like he's telling a shitty story that goes nowhere.
Yeah.
So that night he just drinks heavily, and then, well, there should be a consequence to him drinking heavily, other than drinking to forget. So he drinks to forget that. But what we could do is,
do you mean like a consequence that leads him to drink, or a consequence of him drinking?
Consequence of him drinking that is outside of, so yes, he's drinking to forget the fact that he told the shitty story, yes, but there should be a consequence to him drinking, not in relation to the story, not in relation to him.
So he drinks and then something happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, either to him or because of his like belligerence. I think that's the word, belligerence.
Let's say he tries to drive home drunk and kills his son.
Jeez, that took a dark twist.
I mean, it makes sense.
It works. Like
It works. That's the first thing that came up to my mind, is that like he decides to like he gets kicked out of like the bar or a pub that were like wherever he was drinking at. Then he decides to drive home, and then in doing so, he ends up killing the son that he was supposed to be making up a story for.
Yes.
Or we can go even darker.
Oh no.
We can make it to where
He
the
beats
dad,
his useless son.
He kills the other
it
kids.
to where the dad is like, he drinks to forget, but then his depression of the situation just gets worse. So he decides to kill himself in their garage. Just, leaves the car on. Death by carbon monoxide. But his son wanted to cheer him up, so he hid in the back seat of the car.
Cool.
He went to the bar, but then he fell asleep, and the dad didn't know he was in the back seat when he pulled into the garage.
Oh my god, that is so dark. That has to stay in there. That is so sad. That is so sad that actually makes sense. Oh my god, I don't like it one bit. But if I saw it in the theater, I would actually cry. Oh my gosh.
I like it.
Guys, I think we just found our story. I think we just broke a Quick Draw podcast record. Did we just break the story, guys?
Right, we can branch it out a little bit more if we want to.
Let's
say that
find
same
some settings and names and stuff like that.
Yeah, like let's say that same night the son was actually planning to do he realized that he didn't really have not great memories, but like he didn't really have a lot of memories with his dad. So he was like, you know what, I'm gonna surprise him, and then from then on we can make like great memories as a son and father,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, and in doing so, he decides to do what you said, like hide in the back seat.
I'm hiding in the back seat while my father gets plastered. Don't mind me, folks.
Of his dad.
Dude, that is so sad. That is so sad. Okay, so why are the fathers having a pissing contest? Did we already explain that?
Because they're rich and pretentious.
Sorry if I wasn't speaking.
Let's just say that the fathers were just having like a get together because they were all friends.
A friendly neighborhood barbecue.
A night out with the boys.
A night out with literally the boys. Okay.
Like they had a night out. And then all the rest of the fathers were bragging like my boy's in the military, my boy's in college, he's in an Ivy League place and all that stuff. But then this father has not a single clue what his boy's doing because he wasn't there with him.
So the only problem with that one is that we've already established like the boy's young enough to hide in the back seat and his father not.
Oh, the boy's young?
Well, yeah, because he hid in the back seat yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be pretty.
For some reason I had in mind that the boy's in college already, but all right, that works.
No.
Okay.
It wouldn't be as sad if the boy died with his dad. I mean, it'd still be sad, yes, but I mean, it wouldn't be as like hard hitting.
Impactful.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was thinking like neighborhood barbecue, as like the dads are playing catch and like the brothers.
Or let's say like all the dudes, they brought their sons except him.
We could. Oh wait. So all the dads are playing catch. They're all playing they're all being physical with their kids, and the main Matt is being the good hostess the good host, and grilling burgers or whatever. And he's like, hey guys, food's ready. And so they all come like running in and stuff like that, and they're all eating food, and like the dads just start talking like, oh, my son's gonna play for whatever school, blah 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 blah. Blah, you know, this is what this is what he's saying and stuff like that. And then the pissing contest starts, and the dad, whose house they're at and stuff, feels like he feels the need to like kind of like not showboat, but kind of like one up everybody because like you know they're in his place. You know, he's gotta feel like he's gotta like claim the territory. You know, and so as he's talking, you know, he tells a super bad story like he's trying to flex with something he doesn't know anything about, and he ends up falling flat on his face. Everybody leaves, and later that night, or so, I guess while after the story had fell short, the guys didn't bully him for it, but it was very awkward for a few minutes. But Matt is the kind of guy that holds on to stuff because like the rest of the party he was like super quiet and stuff like that, and the kids kind of like we're picking on Matt's kid a little bit, saying, "Oh, your dad's so weird, blah blah blah," you know, like your dad's lame and stuff. And so the Matt's son never confronted Matt, but after the party, you know, that's when he started trying to like get his dad like excited again, and he figured he'd surprise him by hiding in the back seat while his dad went to go to the bar and get absolute shit faced. And then he pulls into the garage and oh wait, if Matt's a single dad, he's literally orphaning his son.
Well, like I had that in mind instead of like let's say Matt and his son being like in the same building and stuff together, it wouldn't make sense for his son to hide in the back seat where he could just literally just go up to his dad when they're living in the same home. I thought it was gonna be like more of like him being the host, him being a single father, and like let's say the rest of the dads ask him is like, "Hey, where's your son at?" And he's like, "Oh, he's with his mother's right now." And they like he's with his mother's right now and stuff. And like yes, that is the truth, but like instead of like cuz you know how they're like the children are normally like when the parents are split, the children can be like they're with the mother for the week and then they're with the dad for the weekend or something like that?
When
Or how does that?
Yeah, so actually as of I think the law is right now is that whenever you have a divorce and there's kids involved, like state like not statewide but countrywide, parents like fathers have this weekend and mothers have or yeah fathers have this week and then mothers have this week, like everybody has it. So like everybody in the U.S. would have like the dads would have like
Yeah.
like March 1st or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah, so
it's so much stuff.
yeah, so he could be like saying like, "Oh yeah, the yeah, my son is like with his mom this week," but little did they know that like his mom has full custody of the child and he has never visited him since.
So like
that would make more sense for his child secretly being in the back seat and surprising his dad is like, "Hey dad, I'm here."
What is his mom living across the street?
Nah, that's too close.
Other side of town. We can make it like a dual story to where like the dad is doing his thing and then like there's a small adventure of this kid like backpacking.
That's what I'm saying. Like the story would be more
house.
impactful.
Dude, that's so sad. Okay, no,
it makes much more sense for the child to be hiding in the back seat rather than like the child and being in the same house as his dad, but he decides to hide in the back seat. It wouldn't really make more sense. It wouldn't really make sense. Why wouldn't the child just go up to the dad?
Oh, okay. So Matt gets roped into the pissing contest because all the followers are with their sons and stuff like that, and he's cooking for them and stuff like that. And as they're eating, you know, all these dads are talking, and Matt's friend or whatever is ask him, hey Matt, where's your kid and stuff, blah blah blah. And he's like, oh, you know, he's with his mom and stuff, and like
for the week.
Yeah. And they're like, we never see him, you know. Well, what's he like? Like, does he play sports and stuff? He's like, oh yeah, you know. Yeah. He starts making up stories, and it's just bad. And
little did they know that he's never visited his son in a very long time.
Or yeah, either he's not allowed to, or he just hasn't.
He just hasn't. Okay. It would make him seem more of a shitty father.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he just hasn't because he doesn't have the cojones. He doesn't have.
He's a drunk.
He's a drunk.
He's an alcoholic.
He's an alcoholic. Yes. Okay. So, do we want to add anything else to it? The dual story. Okay. The dual story. So how does a kid want to surprise his dad? Why does it want to surprise his dad?
Maybe the,
It's it's Father's Day.
His father's dead.
Okay.
It's Father's
that's why they
Day.
have the barbecue.
It's Father's Day.
Yeah.
It's Father's. Okay, no, like no joke. That actually works.
Yeah,
No,
we're
okay,
making this story
Father's Day,
much
yep.
worse than it's supposed
It's Father's
to
Day.
be.
Maybe like the mom and the kid like
It's Mexico and it's Children's Day. Yeeks.
Maybe the mom and the kid like tried to visit the dad like a couple months ago, and he just seemed really depressed. So the son has been like planning this big event or and trip just to go see him and cheer him up.
Oh, okay. So he still talks to his kid occasionally, but like only when the mom brings him over and stuff like that.
Yeah, she doesn't want the kid over because he's a drunk.
Can we not make him drunk? Can we just make his mom's a really terrible person?
Well,
He drinks to forget.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it doesn't make him...
I mean, it's not art.
I mean, he has to. He has to drink.
Okay. I just realized a flaw in this. All right, so it says I drink to forget. No, I drank to forget. So this boy's actively drinking. You can't actively drink.
Yeah, we're gonna have him drinking to forget like the shitty story that he's.
It means he doesn't die.
He drinks and then he dies.
Oh, I mean, that's not how the story's supposed to end. Like, this is just supposed to happen within the story.
Yeah, that's
We tell a story revolving around this.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. I as cards are will allow this amendment.
That's how we've had it the whole time.
I'm cards are. I will allow this amendment. Don't fight me on this.
So we can make it to where
Okay, I guess.
where like he's like depressed, but like not usually depressed, but the alcohol brings it out. And he just drank so much that his depression got so bad that it drove him to suicide.
Oh, woe is me. Let me peacefully kill myself in my garage. Okay, no, I'll bite. Okay. So it's Father's Day, and his son's like, all right, I'm gonna go see my daddy. So he steals his mom's credit card, wallet, all this stuff, buys a bus ticket. Literally just loops around town.
He can't steal a mom's credit card. We need to make him be like this outstanding kid that everyone will love.
He walks.
And then we kill him.
He walks.
He bike rides.
How about this, right? There's nothing exceptional about the kid other than his love for his father. Because in the end, that's all that really matters. Like,
we just gotta make him likable.
Yeah, he loves his dad. He wants to see his dad. He wants his parents' love. Like, what more could you?
Let's make this kid been drawing pictures family. Like, he's been making family drawings with his with his father and stuff. And he's like, I want to go see him now.
Well, okay, so I think
I'm just thinking.
No, it makes sense. So how about I like the idea of having the mother making the dad see the kid and stuff, and the dad being depressed and the kid wanting to help him fix it. I think that shows maturity in the kid, depending on how old he is. Let's say he's I don't know, 9, 10. Yeah, 9, 10. He's old enough to pass as a 12-year-old, or tall enough and looks old enough to pass as a 12-year-old. But so he's he's just fueled by his love for his dad, because in the end, there's no greater love between between a parent and child. It's your own blood. So I think that would be strong enough. If this were a motion picture, I feel like that alone would be good enough to make the kid likable, because he wants to be liked by his parent, and I don't know who else wouldn't want that. Anyways, so we need to find a way to get him across town to the dad's house. I'm thinking the best way to do it is walking, to show dedication, to show dedication, determination, and willpower. All of these three things children are not normally associated with. They're known for impulsiveness and selfishness and the beginning habits of maturity. But Matt's kid is already mature, because he has to deal with a divorce and all that stuff. So He's already mature beyond his years. So he's like, all right, I want to go see my daddy or my dad.
I think that's a little bland. We can make it to where like he starts off riding his bike, but he never fully learned how because he never had a dad to teach him. So he ends up crashing like a quarter of the way through, and he gets injured. But he has been planning to cheer up his dad on Father's Day for a while now, so he really wants to finish it. So then he walks the rest of the way.
That's okay. No, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay,
Oh
and you were saying that, and then I just realized how we can make it like a 2-part story. So we have everything. How about okay, catch this. So the dad is telling us a story to his homies, about his kid, whatever, blah blah blah, and you don't see the kid, you don't hear the kid, you don't know about the divorce, you don't know about anything until you see the kid in the back seat dead. So once you see him dead, that's when the whole thing like flips around, and then you have his side of the story with what the kid's been through and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So then you pretty much like, all right, the story is still going, even though you know where it's going. Like, so you're just gonna end up in that car and with the garage again, which I don't know. Like, quite frankly, I think this would be a good movie in and of itself. I think I would definitely go watch it. I don't know how long you could make the movie, but still, okay. So, dang. So it's really like a Stuart Little journey, where like, yes, he has to go out and do things that make him more mature and admittedly a bit reckless, but okay.
I mean, this is a child though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, within reason, of course. He's not gonna be selling crack to strangers and selling his body and making Fortune 500 companies deals.
No, I was gonna say I was gonna say something like children don't really like have that thought of like this idea of being too reckless and stuff yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's fueled by the love of his dad. He's like, I want to make my dad proud of me, and maybe we can add in there the mom's new boy toy is a jerk and doesn't actually like the kid, and and the kid's like, yeah, I do. I like my old.
It'll make the kid more lovable.
Yeah, he's like, you're not my actual dad. Have like show problems in the home. He's like, he's like, I know you don't like me and I don't like you, so let's just like get over it, or let's just like ignore each other and blah blah blah. He's like, I don't have a problem with you, like anything like that. Just
yeah, and it's also
stay
like
out of my way and I'll stay out of yours.
Yeah, it was all. I was gonna say it's Father's Day, so he's like, you're not my real dad. I'm gonna go see my real dad today.
Ooh, okay, yeah, that'd be better. I mean, it's what we've been saying, but I like that.
Yeah.
I know I was going off on a tangent saying like, oh, if you don't, leave me alone and stuff, but then realize he's 10, so he's probably not gonna be having that conversation with the stepdad.
Yeah.
But you're not my real dad, and we can make Tyrone his dad. Or like, I don't know.
Why did he have to be black?
I'm just kidding. It could be like the dad is like the stepdad is obviously not his father, and the kid knows it because he's met his dad. So, okay. I think it's pretty fleshed out. Where do we want the story to take place? Like Metropolis, city.
I was gonna say like
Metropolis, urban city. I come on saying urban city.
I was gonna say like the suburbs.
Suburbs, okay.
It would make sense.
So like inner suburbia or like outer suburbia, where it's
let's say the children and the mom live in the outer suburbia and the father lives in the inner suburbia. It would make sense for the child to go from the suburbs into the city.
If you flip it, the mom's mom went into town to seek something new, a new relationship, a new guy, all this stuff that's more modern, and the dad is still living in rural suburbia, which is like the same freaking thing, but like it's just the houses are further apart. He's more isolated, and when he goes to the bar, there's less people there, so it's a little more lonely. You get that neon moon kind of vibe going on.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. I think, dude, we've been killing it this podcast. I'm really proud of us. If you guys like this podcast, please leave a like down below, and please leave a comment as to where you think that we could have done better, or your ideas on this
so
story
this
too.
is going to YouTube.
bro, for sure. Yeah, we're posting these to YouTube and Spotify and stuff. But as of right now, these are going exclusively on YouTube. But they will be done in Spotify and Apple Podcasts pretty soon. Okay, well, alright guys, that is the time. Time is up. Bing, 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 bing. Okay, yeah, time is up. So, alright, folks. Alright, guys, what did you guys think of that story? What are some?
It's fucked. God.
What are some like high parts and low parts you guys think?
No, I mean, at first the stories
high
that
parts
were
being what do you like about it and what do you don't like about it?
there's a lot of things I don't like about this.
Is
Not as in literally don't like, as in like damn, this story's so messed up.
Yeah. Alright, so what do you don't like about the story? Like what would you change if you were the soul?
Not much. I mean, the story is actually like concrete and set like forward that it makes sense.
Okay.
It has a pretty solid story. A solid beginning and an ending.
Okay.
I mean, I waited for someone else to say something, but
no, it's fine. That was really quiet. I watched I was listening to a podcast called Darker, which is on Apple Podcasts. Which, by the way, you guys should definitely check it out. It's pretty good. No sponsor, but it started off with saying like there's a difference between quiet and silence. And the guy's a DJ on the radio, and he's like, like as a DJ, you learn there's a difference between quiet and silence, and like the first like 30 seconds is silence. You're like, this is like, or not 30 seconds. First like 5 to 7 seconds, and that's where it's awkward. And you're like, wait a minute, like did my like headphones break or whatever? It like did it pause? And you're like, oh no, it just I'd silence. You're like, oh, I was genuinely uncomfortable. But yeah, that was my little tidbit on radio silence.
I waited for someone to say something.
It's a good. I don't think this part of this segment was necessary. I just realized that if we had an opinion about it, we would have wasted during the 30 minutes of the thing. But okay, so moving on to the second phase of this podcast, guys. This is where the cards are, figures out who picked or who had the winning card. All right, boys. So the card was. Sorry, let me just reread to you folks the cards. The black card is I drink to forget blank, and the winning card is telling a shitty story that goes nowhere. So who had
Would you like to guess?
Is it you? Is it you?
Nope.
It's Michael. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw him smirk too, but I thought it was just because he thought the story was funny. But I mean, it was funny.
It was hilarious, dude.
Not the story, the card, the set of cards. Okay, so all right, folks. So since Michael won the card game, next podcast, Michael's gonna be the card czar, and then Jorge and I, or wait, did you go with Jorge this podcast?
I went Jorge.
Jorge, okay. Jorge and I, your host, will be the white cards. All right, so next is we're gonna find out what other possible cards they could have played, and see what kind of potential story.
Should I
we could
read
have
both
there.
hands?
Huh?
Should I read both hands?
No. Oh, sure, yeah. I was gonna say read only the one you had.
Gotta get that listen time up, dude.
Oh yeah. Yes, it has to be good if they make it this far, anyways.
So my hand was themes, Harry Potter erotica,
I drink to forget that.
solving problems with violence, my fat daughter,
Ooh,
a bowl of mayonnaise and human teeth,
that one's disgusting.
and Nicolas Cage.
You
Very
can't-
relevant.
You can't forget that, man. Can't forget
Yeah,
that, man.
my first ham was wet dreams, racism, a bop it,
A
white
bopper.
people. That was the one that was originally gonna go with white people.
Forget the whites.
Poverty, which now I think about it, kind of would have done well. Landmines and Morgan Freeman's voice. That was my first hand. My second hand was.
Landmines could have been good.
I thought about that one. That was also my next pick. We could have done like a war story or something like that.
No, either that or a man is chronically afraid of stepping on a landmine in like urban areas where there's no actual landmines. So he's like freaking out as to what he like steps on like perpetually.
But yeah, my next one was an endless stream of diarrhea.
Ew.
Italians, opposable thumbs, Nickelback, Oprah, and boogers.
If you guys picked Nickelback and Nicolas Cage, I would have been like, this is tough. This is gonna be a tough one. Who do I drink to forget, or who do I hate more? Jeez. All right, folks. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been a wonderful time here at the Quick Draw Podcast, your favorite storytelling podcast. Anyways, I have been your host, Matthew.
It's been your boy Jorge.
Mikey D.
It's been your boy Jorge. I love that. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Please leave a like and subscribe wherever you heard this podcast. And from the Quick Draw Podcast to you, we hope you have a good rest of your day. Peace.
And join our Patreon.
Oh yeah, and join our Patreon. Hashtag nudes for dudes. Bye.